Risen from the ashes to school the masses. Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of the Scholars of Wrestling show. I'm your man behind the microphone, Scholar Jeff. To my right is Mr. Scholar in the Bank himself, Scholar Tarek. What's up, sir?
Yes, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Scholars of Wrestling show, aka the SummerSlam Prediction Show. Are you guys excited to enjoy the hot dogs and hamburgers from the biggest party of the summer?
Oh, yes, I am.
sure as hell am.
Yes.
Sure.
It's been tell you what, it's been a long time coming. The day is finally here. I'm excited.
Brian,
aren't you excited, Scholar Brian, who is our current
Indeed.
Scholars of Wrestling champion, sir?
Get it right, good man. It is the current, reigning, defending, undisputed Scholars of Wrestling champion for at least the next few days or so.
if you're going to get your title right, Brian, make sure you actually get it right. It is the reigning, defending, undisputed Scholars of Wrestling heavyweight champion. You missed a word.
Shit happens.
If you're going to be promoting yourself like that, make sure you actually get it right.
For at least the next few days, because as SummerSlams go, this is a good thing and a bad thing, because it seems like this show is very unpredictable.
Yeah, Scholars of Wrestling is unpredictable.
No,
You're right in all respects.
SummerSlam is a pretty unpredictable show, which is good, considering last year it was very predictable, very easy to retain a title. Not so this year. I am as confident as I can possibly be going into this, which, quite frankly, isn't very confident at all. And that's a good thing while watching the pay-per-view, not a very good thing for predictions.
Your blood will be boiling like, come on, win. Come on, man, I actually want to keep the title. Come on.
And
I don't
you know
want
what?
to just be losing on my first title defense.
And you know what? That is what's going to make this show all the more interesting, as well as the competition for that very title. But you know what? Let's get right into it, because there's a lot to talk about on this card. It's SummerSlam 2018. Here we go. Let's dive right into our first match, starting with the kickoff matches. We've got the B Team versus the Revival for the Raw Tag Team titles. Gentlemen, who do you got?
I'll start this one. When it comes to the Raw Tag Team division, I'll say it's very lackluster. Especially now with the whole story of Matt Hardy slowly on his way out. I like the B Team. I'm not a fan of them being tag team champions right now. And for me personally, I feel like the Revival are long due of winning the tag team championship. So I'm gonna go with Revival.
We've got differences right off the bat. This should be good.
This is gonna be a great show.
Here's my deal with why I think the B Team is gonna win. I'm still on board the fact that I believe that the Authors of Pain are going to be the next tag team champions. And who does it make more sense for them to beat? For me, it makes more sense for them to decimate the B Team. Therefore, okay, I feel like they're gonna I feel like there's still time to roll with this underdog getting victories that they shouldn't be getting ever story that the B Team is going.
Now they actually look like the characters they look like.
Exactly.
Remember Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt? They were all serious mode. Now they actually look like what they've been representing as the B Team.
Exactly. And do I agree with it? I don't like the stupid that they were coming up with during that tag team title match on Raw. Like Curtis Axel keeps writing 3 on his hand, trying to figure out math and all that shit. So I don't like where that's going. Like they're underdogs and they're stupid at the same time. No, there's only so much rope I'm willing to give them with the comedy duo that they're doing right now, but I still think there's legs to this underdog group as tag team champions. And if you're gonna have the Authors of Pain come in and dominate, and once they're done with this Titus Worldwide bullshit, if you're gonna come in and have them be the next tag team champions, my heart says the Revival. I want the Revival to be tag team champions. My head says that the best team to face, to be decimated by the Authors of Pain when that time comes, is the B team. So, B team it is. It also helps for me that it's the pre-show. So
Yes.
I don't like title changes on pre-shows. So.
Yes, and that is part one of why I am going with the B team as well on this one. Not only is it on the pre-show, I just don't see... I see it as much less likely that a title change will happen on the pre-show, but also just the fact that the B team are actually getting over with this gimmick, and it seems like this is something they're just sort of rolling with for the time being. Again, as much as I would love to see the Revival finally get their shot in the sun, I'm just not convinced that now is the time. And there's gonna be another time for either the Authors of Pain or the Revival to take it, but this is not the time.
And you know how Vince McMahon likes to run shit into the ground with the B team's getting over. They've got new music. They've got the whether the music is shit or not. That's
I would only really agree with that, but to the point of the Authors of Pain are actually reaching to that point where since they're constantly losing to Titus Worldwide, their stock is kind of decreased a little bit in my views, where when you have the Revival, if you have the Revival win the tag team championship, how they're saying they're old school wrestling, they are bringing back prestige to the tag team championship, and perfect people who can come up and challenge them is the face side of the Revival, the newly reformed American Alpha. Jason Jordan's just waiting to come back. So how about American Alpha versus the Revival for the Raw Tag Team Championship? And that's how I'm viewing this.
Not a bad prediction. And then again, it also, in my eyes, it depends on who is available and who they've got ready. And because let's face it, when was the last time we've heard from American Alpha?
and
When they initially broke them up, went on separate shows, but
Yeah.
now they're both on the same show.
And quite frankly, I've been hearing that Jason Jordan's neck injury was worse than once thought, and he's
I've been hearing they're just waiting for that one moment to bring him back.
Yeah.
That's what I've been reading.
Yeah.
Either way, it goes back to that second point. Like, even without the Authors of Pain, I'm still not convinced they do a title change on the pre-show. Possibly on Raw, I'm still not convinced.
Yeah. Even though I know we've seen it before, I'm just not I had to go back and forth on this a couple times, but at the end of the day, I'm just not sold yet. Is it possible? Absolutely. I'm just not sold on it in this one right here, right now. Anyway, moving on to our next match, we've got Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak for the Cruiserweight Championship. I'm about to say Cruiserweight Classic there. Brian, who do you got?
I will say this. Drew Gulak has been coming along as a bad guy, and I enjoy him a lot. I just don't see the title changing here at all. Whether it's also the fact that this match out of everything on the card is the one that I'm least invested in. And that's on a card with Finn Balor versus Constable Corbin. So that's so if gun to my head, Cedric Alexander retains.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Cedric Alexander as well here. Not because I don't care, or I'll be fully honest, I do not watch 205 Live every week. But at the same time, I like both of these guys. So I'm just, at this point, especially since it's on a kickoff, I'm just going to be looking to them and just ready to see a good show. But at the same time, like you said, I'm not entirely sold yet that they're going to be changing this title either. I'm picking Cedric to win.
I'm going in line with what you said, Brian. How you're liking how Drew Gulak is now being pushed as a different kind of heel, kind of going with the submission master in this one. And personally, I feel like it's time for a change. So I'm gonna be the different one again in this. I'm gonna go with Drew Gulak.
That is either going to cost you terribly, or it's gonna win you this entire show.
I feel like the pre-show is what's gonna decide the Scholars of Wrestling Heavyweight Championship in this game.
It's very possible. It's very possible.
We're only 2 matches in, and this is already interesting. All right, moving on to our third and final match on the kickoff show.
The 2-hour kickoff show.
The 2 freaking hour kickoff show.
Are you ready for 7 hours of? Oh God!
It's one of those shows.
Unless the wrestling is really good, I'm not fully. I'm like, 7 hours. I'm not fully there yet. Unless the wrestling is bad and it's just finding time to kill. I'm curious on what they're gonna do with the Elias performance. Of course, it's
for me.
just
It's like how long is the crowd gonna be able to handle 7 hours? Because even WrestleMania fell off a little bit after the 5-hour mark.
I will say though that in my personal opinion, the feeling has been adjusted to the point where they're much longer shows and they're a bit of a marathon, but at the same time, I think they've gotten better at stacking up their cards and balancing it out and pacing it well enough so that the 7-hour show model isn't quite as horrible as it once was. But at the same time, as we'll see as we continue to go down the card, there's still a lot to like here, and it certainly makes for a very interesting prediction show. Continuing on with this next match, Rusev and Lana versus Andrade Cien Almas and Selena Vega.
It's
my turn, isn't it?
Yep.
Yes. Flat out, I'm going Rusev and Lana, possibly with a interference from Aiden English. I'm not convinced that angle is over. And that's really all I got to say about that. Cool.
This has been a very interesting feud. It's putting Andrade Cien Almas on the map. He's actually now getting reactions, which is a good thing. I want the Rusev Day angle to end because there's just so many times Aiden English can just screw up, and I hope he gets his redemption in this one. So I am all now in agreement. I'm gonna go Rusev Day.
I'm not gonna sing, but this is our first all in agreement.
All in agreement.
Because Rusev got a win over Cien Almas to begin this, correct?
He did.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Ever since then, Selena Vega has been getting one over on Lana over and over and over again. I feel like, yes, Aiden English gets his redemption here, and I also think that Lana gets the pin.
I think so too.
So I feel like this is typical face versus heel. This is gonna be the one where they go the typical WWE booking where the heels keep getting one over on the face until the face gets total redemption at the pay-per-view, and that's why we're gonna have Rusev and Lana win, and all this Aiden English stuff be done. He gets his redemption.
Rusev Day is whole again.
Rusev Day is whole once again. Because if they keep going with that, what does Aiden English do from here if they actually split them up?
Fire on the unemployment line.
Exactly.
Good luck in all your future endeavors.
Exactly, and he's a big reason of why Rusev Day works. So I feel like he gets redemption. Everything is A-okay on their side now, and we have all in agreement here.
We do.
We had to have one eventually. So let's see if this gravy train continues into the main card, starting with the Bludgeon Brothers versus the New Day. Gentlemen,
it's my turn.
It is your turn. Fire away.
I am all aboard this Bludgeon Brothers train. I'm going to continue being on that Bludgeon Brothers train. I'm going with the Bludgeon Brothers. I love the New Day. I don't want to see them as tag team champions anymore.
The only thing that gave me pause here is that the Bludgeon Brothers have been just decimating local talent for like the last month.
And it's been awesome.
It's been awesome. But normally when that happens and the other team or the other wrestler is having great matches, winning and doing all that, they normally come out on top. But once again, okay, I'm with you. I am all aboard the Bludgeon Brothers train. I want them to keep choo-chooing along, keep chugging those tires, man. I want the Bludgeon Brothers. I want a new team that we haven't seen in the title picture before to come out on top. We've seen the New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers. We've seen the Usos versus the Bludgeon Brothers. I'm not totally convinced that that's going to happen, but I'd rather it be the Bar than the New Day. And rolling with that, the Bludgeon Brothers retain for another month.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it into a triplicate town once again. I'm going to pick the Bludgeon Brothers to go with this. Whether it's the Bar, whether it's some other tag team, just seeing these new combinations show up is really fun, especially with a tag team I like the Bludgeon Brothers, like the New Day. But in this particular instance, as much as I have been really enjoying the New Day recently, the Bludgeon Brothers are still have that new tag team smell. I want to see them do more with them before they eventually.
He's enjoying that smell.
But here's what I really want. Here's what I really want
all
after SummerSlam. No more, as much fun as it has been to watch, no more decimating local talent for the Bludgeon Brothers.
Keep it an occasional thing, I guess. But
not even
every
occasional.
time.
Not even occasional. We've done a month of it straight. Move on. Let's have them fuck people up are actually on the roster.
What I'm loving about the Bludgeon Brothers is I said it when they first came back as the Bludgeon Brothers. They are the tag team equivalent of Braun Strowman when he first split off against the Wyatt family. Or not against, but split off from the Wyatt family.
I follow. Anyway, moving on, we've got on our card next, we've got Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin.
And this Constable Baron Corbin.
Don't even put Baron. It's Constable Corbin now.
Constable Corbin. That's it. The best thing that could possibly happen to him.
And you know what? Just because we went on that for about 30 seconds, that should tell you how much this match does not matter at all. This is the one match that's on the actual main card that high bathroom break. That's it.
Are you saying you really don't care about Finn Balor versus the Lone Wolf Constable Baron Corbin?
No. Wait. We've established he's Mr. Smiles himself.
Mr. Smiles versus the Constable.
Mr.
And you know
Big
what?
Old Smile himself.
Mr. Big Old Smile.
You know what?
Himself.
Mr. Smiles is gonna get another one. See?
Yes,
there you go.
I love
Mr.
his
Big Old Smile himself.
I love his smile. I know he's just doing it.
The whole world. Hey, he killed the demon Balor with that smile. It's like
Vince McMahon killed the demon.
Mr. Smiles is gonna get another one, and no dumbass roll ups this time. It's gonna be legit. He's gonna hit him with the coup de grace. I blanked out on the name because that's how much. That's how much I don't care. I forget. Like the WWE is doing something that I never thought that it would be able to do. I'm losing the ability to care about Finn Balor.
Move him to SmackDown.
I'm losing it. And he's gonna hit the coup de grace. We're gonna move on. Good riddance.
They all switch over the name, the coup de grace, to the Colgate Fresh for Mr. Big Ol' Smile himself. But yeah.
Okay, that was clever.
That was good. I like that one.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, either way, I don't see myself getting too well invested in this match, but I'm just going to go with Finn Balor, Mr. Big Ol' Smile himself. We know he's going to win.
another 3 here. Yeah, I've been voting against with the whole big man storyline, and now I'm actually coming back. I'm redeeming myself unless Corbin actually wins this one, which, god damn it. But I'm also going to go with Finn Balor. The one thing that really ticked me off about this is that it's the whole big man storyline. It's just, I felt like this match needed something on the line to make this a more interesting, other than just the fact that they don't like each other. I think that's the real factor on why this feud sucks.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's at least, especially compared to the other matches on this card, there's something that seems a little lacking in this one.
Especially now since Corbin is a authority figure. Have it be a smaller version of, have it be a smaller version of an authority figure versus a wrestler. Stone Cold Vince McMahon, Daniel Bryan versus the Authority. Have it just be a smaller version of that. But they haven't really done anything to progress that. There's nothing on the line here. I feel like, Balor's job should have been on the line. If Balor loses, he would be the assistant to Constable Corbin. Something to make this match stakes. That's all it needs. Stakes. Nice, juicy steaks.
And now I'm hungry again. Thank you, fool.
No problem.
Moving on to
Nothing with response to that?
Steaks are good.
Steaks are
I think
good.
we can all agree on that. Steaks are good.
We love
But with
steak.
what I said,
What we're getting is raw
if this
chicken.
thing,
I don't know. What-
okay, I can't argue that one. That was good. That was
We
good.
want steaks.
We want steaks. What we're getting is raw chicken. That's it.
And you don't want to eat raw chicken, or else you
Nobody
die.
wants to eat raw chicken.
Unless you like E. coli, but that's another conversation.
And you die.
And then you dead. Anyway, speaking of dead, that's what hopefully Carmella's going to be at the end of this match.
At least her title reign.
Can we at least all agree whether we have the correct name or not? We can all agree that Carmella is the title reign is done
Yes.
at SummerSlam.
I sure as hell hope so. I'm
Whether-
tired of this.
Who's
Whether
turn
we
is it?
predict,
Yours.
Okay, I'm going to come right out and say it. I think Charlotte winning is a red herring. Becky Lynch has been on fire recently, no pun intended at all. I think she's been on a hot streak. She's been having more spotlight put on her. I'm convinced Becky Lynch is going to take this and become the new champion.
I was on the Becky Lynch train until she showed that she is dominant. She didn't need Charlotte for this tag team match that she had with not what used to be Absolution. And then just seeing how Charlotte reacted in their backstage segment, I'm actually going to go with Charlotte on this one. 'Cause it may be a red
plot
herring for you,
thickens.
but I just see this being the big twist because I feel like most of the time we've been talking about Becky Lynch having this leading to a big heel turn for Becky Lynch. But she's just, in my opinion, she's just too popular
I agree.
to really turn heel. And to be fair, she would be a fantastic heel. We've seen it in NXT.
We have.
But I definitely feel like SmackDown women's division needs a top tier heel, and Carmella is pretty much the Jinder Mahal in my opinion, and she is a failed experiment. The Diva comment that Charlotte made this past week was perfect, and
That was good. I gotta admit.
Yes.
I like Carmella, but that was spot on. I love it.
And then when she started going off how well she looked, I'm like, ugh. I'm sorry, I don't think Carmella's that attractive at all. But yeah, I feel like this is just planning for a big Charlotte heel turn, and they're just going to continue adding on until she becomes a 16-time women's champion,
Woo.
like her daddy.
Here's my
16-time champion.
Here's
like her
my
daddy.
thought, okay, on that. What if Becky Lynch winning the title is the impetus to Charlotte turning heel? Instead of just Charlotte winning the title and doing that. So I'm still going Becky Lynch. I've been Becky Lynch the whole time, ever since the build-up.
Yeah, you've been
Because
Becky.
why,
You've been
Fu?
Becky
I've
Lynch.
been Becky Lynch
Period.
Since
You've been Becky Lynch. Period. That's
Yes.
all you need to say.
Yeah, I've
My love for Cesaro fails in comparison to you to your love for Becky Lynch.
That's high praise.
That is high praise.
So,
But
even without that, okay, with the storyline build-up and all that, I think Becky Lynch wins, and if we're going heel turns here, that'll be why Charlotte turns on Becky Lynch. That it won't. You can't. There's nothing that will make this crowd boo Becky Lynch at this point.
No, nothing.
She needs to do something totally off character and horrid to actually make a heel turn stick for Becky Lynch, and I'm not quite certain that that's a thing. Well, we know that Charlotte can drop it like at the drop of a hat and be the best heel woman that this company has. Okay, we know that. Okay, so in my eyes, Becky Lynch wins the title. They've been building it up for months, so it's one of those like but and that'll be why Charlotte turns on her.
The way I've been looking at this is I do see Becky Lynch actually tapping Carmella out, but I feel like something's going to lead to the point where the referee is out cold or something happens and you see Charlotte kicking her in the back of the head, doing some heelish tactics, wakes up, takes her out, wakes up the referee, and then puts her in the figure eight. I just basically see Charlotte pulling something really heelish to win this one. I see her becoming the new top heel of SmackDown, how she was the top heel on Raw.
Would I be surprised?
And then I actually see Becky Lynch winning the SmackDown Women's title from Charlotte at Evolution.
Interesting.
Because she's been going on how this one is just leading her building up to get that title back. Charlotte unintentionally got herself in the match, not trying to take her spotlight, but seeing how Becky Lynch can face off against two people by herself. Charlotte's like, oh, Becky really is a real threat, and she'll just pull something, dirtiest daughter in the game, pulling something big here. Becky Lynch looks like she is on the verge of winning. Keep her streak going, but having Charlotte be the one holding the title at the end, building up to their feud that can go on to Evolution.
We shall see.
Wouldn't that actually be now Charlotte is the one that's keeping Becky Lynch down, the one that is keeping her from being at the top of the mountain.
That would be a good storyline, but remember what we're talking about here.
Hey man, I gotta pull his optimism cards sometimes.
And don't even try it.
Don't even try what?
I see you changing your mind. You can't. It's already written down.
It's already on the
I'm not changing my mind.
It's right here.
You're like, interesting. I know what
it's set in stone now.
No, you don't know what that means, because what I was going to say is, while that is an interesting idea, I personally am still of the belief that we're a little too far ahead to really bank on anything for Evolution right now. SummerSlam is way too big of a show to sort of discount it as just like a transitional stop for Evolution. And could it dictate where we end up at Evolution? Sure, but I don't think this is going to be a transitional step. This is going to be a stage where things are either set up or happen.
And I don't want multiple heel turns at one pay-per-view, because I've got my eyes set on a different heel turn later on. So it's one of those, I expect whoever turns heel from this little match right here to not happen tonight, or not happen at SummerSlam. So in that vein, I would personally go with Becky Lynch winning.
Okay.
And you've got a poo-poo face on.
Because I know exactly who you're talking about when it comes to your heel turn prediction,
Well, let's move on. Hopefully we'll get to that soon. But first we've got to go with Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy for the United States Championship.
Oh, Jeff, you blinked.
Oh, no.
Oh, man, you blinked for your picture, man. What's
Waka
wrong with you,
waka.
Jeff? Waka waka.
And let's not forget
Waka
creepy
waka.
Randy Orton waiting in the wings. That dude is no longer crazy. He's no longer... Did you see him creeping
I
on
saw. I
SmackDown?
most certainly did.
Did you see him creeping? I think he was holding his penis.
And there it is.
There we go. We have to bring up his whole allegation.
But
allegations.
I was actually just going on SmackDown, and he's watching a monitor, but he's also creeping.
He wasn't
behind
watching the monitor. Yeah, there was no monitor. He was just peeking behind the curtain, touching his penis.
Speaking of, I have to admit something. I have already achieved my own level of victory here
You touched your
because
penis for the first
no. Get out. I was going to say that
wins.
Are you done?
No. Are you?
Yes, I am. You know why? Because we went the entire season without us talking about the G1 climax. I've avoided it. Ha-ha.
But now we're talking about
not
Randy
like,
Orton's
that is
penis.
so not like you. Come on, we're the Scholars of Wrestling. We should talk about the G1 climax. And I heard it was pretty good this year.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Tanahashi won, right?
Yes, he
Yes,
did.
he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Good for him.
And
I'm drawing a blank. Who's the champion? Is it?
it's
Kenny
still Kenny
Omega.
Is it
Omega.
Kenny? Okay, I thought
Yeah.
I read somewhere that he lost it. I'm like, wait, what? No,
No,
he didn't lose it. Okay,
no.
No.
Anyway, moving on to the actual match. Nakamura, Hardy.
No.
Whose turn is it?
I think it's me. Nakamura.
Okay, that was easy.
I really can't add anything. I know that the whole feud has kind of been building more towards Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton, and I don't want that to be the United States Championship feud right now. Shinsuke Nakamura should move on to bigger and better things.
Nakamura with the help of creepy Randy Orton.
Is that your prediction?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I just picked Nakamura because I was
You betted
gut.
against him last time, so
I have learned my lesson. I'm going with my boy. Shinsuke, you better pull this one through. You heard me.
pull this one through.
Yes, you heard me indeed. Moving on, thankfully, I believe our next match on the docket is Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens. And it is.
For the Money in the Bank contract. I know this isn't the Money in the Bank briefcase. This is the Scholar in the Bank briefcase.
Beefcake.
I
I can speak
Scholar
words.
in the
good.
Bank briefcase.
We don't know our words.
No, I'm just mixing. It's SummerSlam. It's the biggest party of the summer. Got to bring on the beef and throw it on the grill.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta fix that somehow.
And talking about beef, Braun wins.
Yes, my big favorite beef wall himself is going to retain this thing. I think this one is fairly easy one to predict. I hope.
And then can we get Kevin Owens away from the 5-minute squash machine, please? Can we have him have real matches instead of just get thrown around all day? Can we be done with that, please?
Full, is this a triple kit or what?
Well, the one big factor that is definitely putting into this is Jinder Mahal. You know he's going to get involved somehow. I definitely think, especially with how the go-home show went with Braun chasing Kevin Owens out of the building, Kevin Owens is going to pull so many stops to win the Money in the Bank briefcase. But it's not going to happen. It's going to be Braun Strowman.
You didn't fool me, fool.
I feel like the ref is gonna know what Kevin Owens and Jinder Mahal is doing, and Braun Strowman's just gonna push Jinder Mahal off like the fly he is when he comes to attack him and when he attacks Kevin Owens to try to get Kevin Owens to win by DQ. The ref is gonna be, you're not fooling me.
No.
That's not gonna happen.
It's kind of sad. I'm actually going a little off topic on this one because once again, it's another former member of the Wyatt family. Bray's not on the card this year. that's kind of heartbreaking to see. And there's the whole rumors going around that he's going to get repackaged. And in my personal opinion, storyline-wise, with Matt Hardy slowly walking out the door, I want to see him transfer his Woken powers to Bray Wyatt, and he just becomes the new Woken warrior.
That would be cool.
Keep the and just have him
have him spouting the words of Matt Hardy,
spoken the words of a true Woken warrior.
So
and keep the lantern.
Yeah, keep him as a good guy.
Please keep him as a good guy. He's done everything you can possibly do as a heel.
And actually have him start beating people, please. That would be fun.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
Have him bring him back to the upper mid card.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, he's a former WWE champion. He deserves a lot more. And you could say so is Jinder Mahal, but Bray's more talented and more charismatic than Jinder Mahal.
And more over.
Yes.
Dart. Anyways, moving on to our next match, which I believe is Daniel Bryan versus The Miz.
I have to thank you, fool.
For what?
You asked me to be patient, see what they were going to do for the go-home show. Those 3 video packages of the history of Daniel Bryan versus The Miz, from NXT to Talking Smack to Daniel Bryan's return to the ring, was perfect. I loved every single second of those video packages. I wish they threw some like hints at that the last couple of weeks, other than just crying babies and having Miz and Mrs. be the forefront of this feud. But this package alone was amazing. I loved every second.
That's what she said.
She's a whore. I actually, as soon as SmackDown ended, I rewound it and watched those clips again. The history between these two is just perfect storytelling. And whose turn is it? Is it me predicting, or let's see? I picked Nakamura. It's you, Brian.
I picked Braun.
Oh, you picked. Okay, so yeah, it's you.
Okay, in that case, again, classic me would indicate that I'd go with my boy Brian over here. However, as you mentioned, the video packages that they released were pretty much perfect. In my mind, they're a little too perfect, which means that, to me, they understand what they've gotten these two. They have complete trust in these two, and that this is only the beginning of a much bigger feud. Therefore, for this particular match, I am picking The Miz to win.
Okay, that's a fair argument. To me, this is the equivalent of Daniel Bryan's return match at WrestleMania. This is the equivalent of Miz and Maurice versus John Cena and Nikki Bella. I'm gonna go with Daniel Bryan. I can see where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'm not gonna say you're wrong or anything. Your opinion is stupid or anything like that.
Fair.
You have a very compelling argument.
Yeah, it's just again. Normally, I would follow that logic, but after seeing those, this is why I say wait and see, because this is the kind of thing that sort of makes me second guess. Like, okay, maybe they've got something else waiting in the wings here, and that's where the wind is taking me this time.
I'm not gonna go as far as to say this is the equivalent of John Cena, Nikki Bella, Miz and Maurice, but I do agree, and I also agree with you that the Vignettes made it look almost too perfect that Daniel Bryan was gonna win. But this is the WWE we speak of, and normally when you have the comeback trail and all that. First of all, Daniel Bryan hasn't lost a match on pay-per-view.
Yes, he has.
Since he lost a match on pay-per-view?
Yeah. Him and Kane lost to Bludgeon Brothers.
Okay, so singles match then.
Okay, yes.
He hasn't lost. He hasn't lost a singles match since he came back on pay-per-view, and I think that continues. Yes, the Vignets made it too perfect, but sometimes I agree with you that they know what they've got, and this probably isn't the end. I can see some stuff happening after the match, but as for the match itself, sometimes too perfect is perfect. And I've got Daniel Bryan to beat The Miz. At least at SummerSlam. Daniel Bryan wins.
All right. Yeah, this is now we're getting into interesting territory here where there's so many different ways that this can go that now it gets tougher to read. So maybe this next match will be one of those, but I think this is going to be the last of those kinds of matches. I am talking about Alexa Bliss versus Ronda Rousey for the Raw Women's title. Whose turn is it?
Mr. Tariq.
What you got?
The biggest argument I've had about this whole feud is that Ronda Rousey's being booked too strong, to the point where it's like, oh, you be clear as day that she's going to be winning the Raw Women's Championship. But as much as I just think I could see Alexa Bliss pulling some kind of victory on this one, maybe maybe returning Natty accidentally costing her the match or whatever nonsense. Nia Jax comes back to be make up friends with Alexa Bliss. But no, I'm gonna go on the safe route on this one. I'm gonna choose Ronda Rousey.
You almost had for a fake out there.
Sure, well, that one
I'm of the same. I'm of the same boat. Like sometimes the obvious is the right choice. It gets them and it gets SummerSlam into.
And I failed that lesson twice.
Into the mainstream media. Into the mainstream media. Ronda Rousey wins the women's title at SummerSlam, and I don't think that they're gonna miss out on that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's obvious, but sometimes the obvious is the right decision. And at this point, I think Alexa Bliss has done all she can do as the champion at this point. So give it to Ronda Rousey and see what she's got.
Yeah, I got to agree. Just if for no other reason than the build to this has just gone to. This has been going on for long enough. Alexa Bliss, the mean girl, has been on top for way too long. Now, big bad Ronda's coming.
Nice view
coming
on
to eat.
Top. I'm sorry, she's gorgeous.
Yes.
Well, sure, but
nurse.
Not where my mind was going. But yeah, Ronda wins between the publicity and finally the big bad heel getting her comeuppance. Ronda's due. It just works on way too many levels. It had to happen eventually also, so I'd much rather get her reign out of the way right now so now we can focus on the characters and the feuds going forward.
As long as there are no bats.
Yeah. And any other...
The bats, of course.
Other pay-per-view other than WrestleMania, I would have said Shenanigans would be had. But this is
Shenanigans has been had. But Money in the Bank.
Shenanigans are no more.
Yeah, exactly. Any other pay-per-view, but this is SummerSlam. Mm-hmm. And this is big money media here, and big money media states that Ronda Rousey must win.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Now we've got our next match. We've got, for the U.S. title, we've got...
U.S.?
Did I say U.S.?
You
Intercontinental title. For the Intercontinental title, forgive me, we've got Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins with Drew McIntyre and the returning Triple H, Dean Ambrose in Seth Rollins' corner.
Speaking of Triple H, did you see the pictures of Dolph Ziggler looking like Triple H from Evolution with the sleek hair, and Dean Ambrose coming back looking like Triple H?
Well, that is an old
corporate.
I don't know.
Coming back looking
These
like
pictures I got from the .com. I'm looking at this and like, shame on you, WWE. For
No,
posting
because
this old
they
picture.
did the SummerSlam logo, the actual like SummerSlam spot on SmackDown, and they had him looking all Triple H badass with himself behind Seth Rollins. Like this is the card that they put on the .com, but the one that they put on the shows is updated and it looks badass.
You know what else looks badass? Dolph Ziggler's flowing hair.
Yeah.
No, it makes
It looks.
no.
I'm sorry. His hair looks fantastic.
It looks super 80s, just like the man
And you know what?
himself.
It's
It
got to be
fits.
back to the ponytail when it comes to wrestling. So that's it.
that may be the case, but
But
I enjoyed the hair while we had it.
yeah.
So did Dean Ambrose.
But you know what?
Did he?
You know what? I actually think he looks better now, and it's gonna play into
Dean Ambrose?
what. Yes, it's gonna
Yeah.
play into what I think is gonna happen here. I was on the Dolph Ziggler retain train until Monday night. Okay, and then I thought, the more money move here is to have Dean Ambrose help Seth Rollins win the Intercontinental title, and then while they're celebrating the win, just turn on him and annihilate him, decimate him, have the heel turn at SummerSlam, because he came out looking like he wanted to destroy everybody. And he was looking at Seth Rollins too. So I was like, and with everything coming out, like Seth Rollins saying in an interview that the Dean Ambrose injury was a blessing in disguise, and
It
all
was.
and all that stuff. Okay, yes, in more ways than one. That interview gives Dean Ambrose a reason to turn on you, and it's also okay. We can get that actual lunatic Dean Ambrose that we've wanted for so long, and now
he looks like
and
it.
now he's got the look to back it up. So
he looked big.
he looked big and he looked pissed. So
I
was
said it
like,
before and I'll say it again. Dean Jacked Bros looked like he just broke out of prison, came back to Earth, and is ready to fight Thanos.
yeah. So it's like, yeah,
It makes you look at that picture and be like, yeah, that is not the same person at all.
so
Like,
it's
this
like
this is mid card Dean Ambrose. The one that came back is main event Dean Ambrose.
yeah. So it's like, I figure with that one you want to do that right away. Okay, you don't hang on to face Dean Ambrose for a couple months and then do it like that. With the way he was looking on Monday night, you do that turn right away, I feel, and then you're set up for awesome Intercontinental title feud. Face Seth Rollins, heel Dean Ambrose throughout the fall. Where does that leave Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre? I don't know, and that's the only thing holding me back on it right now. But what I want, this is where I'm going with what I want on this one. And it's Seth Rollins winning, Dean Ambrose turning on him immediately. And we get we get the complete opposite of what we had throughout the fall, throughout the summer and fall in 14? 2014. We get the complete opposite. And this will put Dean Ambrose is already there, but this will put him even further over the top as one of the great characters of WWE.
Yeah, I don't think it's too far of a stretch to say that the return of Dean Ambrose really shook everything up when it comes to this feud and the rest of the show as a whole. That being said, I'm going to go with Seth Rollins, not specifically for the reasons you mentioned, but for just for a simple fact that I can visualize more options for coming from a Seth Rollins victory. You can have, whether it's having Dean Ambrose turn heel, or whether it's, one thing I'm seeing is that they can either have this feud continue now that the extra help has been canceled out. Either Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler either continue their feud, and Dean and Drew McIntyre kick off their feud, or they might even be able to switch dance partners where Seth fights Drew for a while and then Ziggler goes after Dean Ambrose.
And you can also bring the tag team titles into it at some point.
I wouldn't say throw in the tag team titles. I see this feud going a lot longer past SummerSlam, especially now with Dean Ambrose back. It's like I mentioned earlier, Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Yes, please. So I don't think a heel turn, at least a Dean heel turn, is happening. At least not right now. He definitely now has more of a look to make a heel turn.
That's why I was like, oh God, he came out looking like that. Do it now. That's it.
Like I see it happening in the future, maybe even this year. But,
for like a WrestleMania.
But yeah, have it be Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose fighting for the Intercontinental Championship at Mania. Why not? But yeah, I see this feud continuing past SummerSlam, but I'm also gonna pick Seth Rollins in a successful in recapturing the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, it just makes more sense. Dean Ambrose doesn't come back to cause a loss.
Yeah, exactly.
So
even though Dolph has been doing wonders as Intercontinental Champion, him and Drew are a great combo, and like I said, I hope they don't break them up anytime soon.
Hopefully not. But in the meantime, now we're approaching the end of the SummerSlam show with our two main events. First, with AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Championship.
Who's up?
I believe it's mine. Yeah, flat out, this I had to go back and forth with for a little while. I'm going with AJ Styles for one simple reason. I don't think it's the right time yet. I think it's a little too soon for Joe. I think Joe is right on the right track, but I think this is another one of those cases where they're going to prolong the feud for a little while. AJ's going to retain, and then they have another match next month, or maybe in the next couple months. But they seem to know that they've got money with these guys too. I don't think they want to pass it up or leave it on the table. So therefore, to get us there, I'm going to say AJ retains.
I'm going to go with AJ retains as well. The beginning of I don't want this feud to, it's like, oh, I don't want a title change just because, like, stemming from Samoa Joe reading a letter. Oh, and making this like, oh, your family wants you home. I want them to reach at a more professional, I guess, a more professional, personal, you know what I mean? But yeah, the beginning, like, this feud has to continue on for it to actually build a better story than what we're having right now. But yeah, I'm going to go with AJ Styles. And yeah, Samoa Joe, WWE is very high on Samoa Joe. It's just a matter of time before he actually does win the title. It's just not now.
I honestly don't see AJ Styles losing the title for a little while now. I don't see him losing it in the next little bit. So this is one match where I can see a no contest happening and it actually making sense.
Yeah, I would be okay with that.
But if somebody had to win, it's AJ Styles to retain. Like I can see like everything building up, like I can see a no contest happening, but if we're picking victories,
I could see that.
If we're picking a victory, it's got to be AJ Styles. I don't see him losing the title. I feel like they want somebody who's actually into wrestling to win and to beat CM Punk's streak. So I can see him holding the title for a very long time after this. So I'm gonna be AJ Styles for the next little bit, but the only one I can really see beating him right now is Samoa Joe. But I don't think it's gonna happen here. I don't think it's gonna happen for a little while, and AJ Styles to retain with a very good shot of it being a no contest.
Yeah, I'm not sure if AJ Styles has just recently beaten CM Punk's record yet.
He's not close.
He beat JBL. I think, when did he win it?
I'm not sure.
I think it was like, he had it before November. He won it in the lead up to Survivor Series.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Are you looking it up right now?
How long he's had the belt? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He won it from Jinder Mahal leading up to Survivor Series, and that's how we got AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar.
Let's see, Reigns.
So we're looking at 200-something days.
Oh, maybe I just saw some sort of post-av context somewhere.
He's had it for 281 days.
Okay, there you go.
And for him to beat Punk's record,
It would probably be like January, right?
Punk had 434 days.
There you go.
So he still has a pretty long way to go.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, like I was under the impression that I want him to hold it till WrestleMania, and that's when he loses it. That way he'd beat the streak, and then someone would come to beat him. Maybe Daniel Bryan, maybe Samoa Joe, one of those two. I could see, and depending on how over creepy Randy Orton gets, that's it. I can see that happening too.
At least tonight we're all in agreement, AJ Styles.
Yes.
We all agree AJ Styles. He would need 153 more days. 153.
Aha. Anyway, finally moving on to our final match on the card. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Who do you got?
Get this long going story of Roman Reigns going for the title. Let it come to an end. Roman Reigns.
I'm done with Brock Lesnar as champion. I don't care who walks out with the title, but someone new has to walk out, whether it's a cash in or not. And at this point, okay, they keep baiting us with Roman Reigns getting his ass beat the week before the pay-per-view and then losing at the pay-per-view. I think it's time. I want it to be time so we can get this stupid storyline of we can get what they're trying to do with Roman Reigns as the top face of the company. Let's actually kick it off, please. Whether it's real or not, whether the people like it or not, let's just get this thing going. Roman Reigns to win.
I'm going to say no to that for a number of reasons and pick Brock Lesnar to win, and I'll explain why. Number one, I've got to believe that they've already tried to crown him as the guy, Roman Reigns as the guy. They tried to brute force it at WrestleMania a couple years ago. We all know what that worked like. They got their way. He's still the guy in the eyes of WWE. We all know that. However, he doesn't necessarily need to have the belt to do it. That's number one. Number two, assuming that Brock is on his way out, as he claims to be, there's been some rumors that he's going to be renegotiating, or at least talking with Vince McMahon hours before the pay-per-view, so things could still change. But I'm personally of the opinion that they're going to want to have Brock leave on a strong note so when he goes back to the UFC, has his fun, and then eventually comes back, he will still be strong, and maybe even Brock will request that so he continues to look strong and his stock is still high. I'm saying all this while still saying the ultimate thing that I want to see. Ultimately, I don't know about you guys, My interest in this match in particular has nothing to do with Brock or Roman.
Braun.
It's got all eyes are going to be on Braun. And I believe Bully Ray even said this earlier in the week. This match, nobody's going to be focusing on the match. Everyone is going to be looking at the finish and what comes immediately after. Because we all know that Braun Strowman is clutching on that briefcase and he's just waiting. He's like the shark in Jaws. He's just going to be waiting, and then
Well, here's my
and
favorite.
that's the perfect out. If they want to keep Brock Lesnar looking strong, have him beat Roman Reigns again as he's heading on out. Hit the Braun music, and then Brock gets these hands, and then everyone on the East Coast goes home happy.
Well, here's my counterpoint to that. Okay. We can actually get the Roman Reigns heel turn out of this by having Roman Reigns beat Brock Lesnar. Braun Strowman comes out, cashes in on Roman Reigns, and then we have face Braun Strowman versus heel Roman Reigns going forward, which no one is going to say Brock Lesnar isn't strong because he lost to Roman Reigns. No one is going to say that because it's like, think about the last 3 years. Okay, no one's going to say that Brock Lesnar is not strong because Roman Reigns got one over on him. One time out of the 15 that Brock Lesnar has destroyed him. Okay.
But can that result happen without turning Roman Reigns heel?
Can it happen without? The WWE
Because they're not going to do it.
The WWE can try it.
They're not going to do
it. They can try to keep him face, but the dynamics will turn into Braun Strowman face, Roman Reigns heel. Braun Strowman could be the face of the company that they want. Okay, which is why I'm not discounting Braun Strowman walking out of SummerSlam as the WWE champion. I'm counting on it. But I think the better storyline going forward is him cashing in on Roman Reigns, because Roman Reigns will actually be there to continue the storyline. You won't have to wait however long Brock Lesnar is doing his UFC thing to have that comeback.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm going Roman Reigns to win, Braun Strowman to cash in on Roman Reigns, because Brock Lesnar did his normal thing and beat the shit out of Roman Reigns for 20 minutes. Roman Reigns does 8 million spears in a row to keep Brock Lesnar down. Mm-hmm. But he's still completely fucked up to the point where Braun Strowman can beat him easily. That's it.
So yeah, those are our predictions for this year's
I don't care what happens
SummerSlam.
as long as Brock's not the champion anymore. That's just my
I don't
say on it.
And I think this is going to be the show where it finally happens.
Let's hope so.
But yes, those are our predictions for 2018 SummerSlam. But before we close this show, another reason why this particular prediction show is so important to us personally is because of a very special, historic announcement as far as this show is concerned. Fool, care to elaborate on that?
When we actually started Scholars of Wrestling, Brian and I, and we called Jeff in to be a part of it, we wanted to make sure, we wanted this to continue evolve to becoming a very entertaining show for you, the fans, watching on YouTube, Facebook, listening to us on a podcast form, whatever. Most of you have been through all that. We started the show off as a podcast form, and now look where we're at now. We are now a YouTube show. And as we want to just continue to evolve the Scholars of Wrestling as much as possible, every piece of the Scholars of Wrestling has to evolve. And with that, this is going to be the final episode with the current Scholars of Wrestling Championship. Brian. Oh no, you can still hold on to it. So, at SummerSlam, once SummerSlam officially ends, we will be crowning the winner of that. Will not only be crowned the Scholars of Wrestling champion, but Brian, reach in as well. You can unveil too. We will be crowning the new Scholars of Wrestling Championship. Ooh, love it.
Sparkle, sparkles.
It looks smexy.
So,
Indeed, it does.
Matt, all right, hey, get your hands off. You haven't won it yet.
Touch. I'm not gonna wear it.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Just look at it, admire it,
Touch.
and once SummerSlam's
Touch.
over, I will be carrying this belt as the new Scholars of Wrestling champion.
He would like to think that, wouldn't he?
Oh, I'm not thinking
Okay.
that. I know it's going to happen.
All right.
It all could happen by the end of the pre-show.
I will say this, however, in all seriousness, like you said, Tarek, we've been at this for a long time. This is truly a passion of ours, and I gotta say, the one thing I truly do enjoy, not just talking wrestling, but talking wrestling with you guys, and really putting our hearts and minds to the grindstone, and just doing our best to really predict and just fantasy book wrestling. It's a ton of fun. I love doing it as much as we love to have fun on this show. This is something I truly enjoy doing with you guys. And this, just seeing how far we've come, and just seeing this as the latest progression of everything that we're doing, that just makes it all the more exciting. And just seeing this as the next big step in what we're doing here at the Scholars of Wrestling show, and just making this the next step in the competition and the discussions that we provide every single week. I'm just proud to see this finally come to fruition. And with that, Brian, Tarek, may the best scholar win.
Oh, don't worry, he will.
Yes, I will. Thank you for
I
having
will.
confidence in me.
Oh, no, I will.
This guy right here.
Says the guy who had zero confidence.
I said minor confidence. I'm realistic.
Well, you know what? I have high confidence that I'm going to win this piece of this beautiful belt.
I'm realistic in the sense that, hey, we finally have an unpredictable pay-per-view where we're not walking in with maybe one disagreement among us. There's a good seven or eight here where anything can happen. This is the first time that has happened, I think, since we started having the title.
It's been a long time.
And a competition. And of course it would be the first title defense that I have, but whatever.
It's the dawn of a new era, and the stakes have not been this high in a long time.
And you know what? It makes it a lot more fun to watch the show, knowing that we disagree on so many matches. It's like we have to sit down, we have to watch this, we're into it. When on other shows, the same match we might all agree on, and we're just kind of sitting there like, yeah, this is a match, it's happening, and whatever. Drew Gulak versus Cedric Alexander. Okay.
The pre-show's gonna be big.
How many times can we say that we're paying attention to the pre-show because 2 out of the 3 matches we do not agree on?
No, well, you two agreed on it. I was the difference. On that one.
This gonna be
That's
good.
the point. With all 3 of us don't agree, so it's like we're actually locked in to B Team versus the Revival, Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak. When on other shows we might not be locked into those matches because we'd all 3 of us agree on it. We'd be like, okay, doesn't really matter when it comes to the prediction show because, hey, we all agree on it. Well, we don't on multiple matches that normally we'd probably have a good run on. So yeah, this is it makes sense that for the first opportunity to hold this title, we'd be locked in on a show. There's so much dissension between us on who we pick to win these matches. It makes sense that the first one of those would be for this beauty of a title.
Yes, and oh boy, I gotta admit, I've been looking forward to this day for a long, long time. It's getting real. It's SummerSlam. It's the championship on the line. Join us in all the fun. And of course, you can check us out on the entire competition this entire weekend. Check us out. If you're joining us on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Thumbs up, subscribe if you want more content just like this. If you're on Spotify, checking us out there, hey, thank you for joining us as well wherever you are, all across the internet. If you're joining us on Facebook, look us up under the Scholars of Wrestling Show. And of course, if you want to follow the play-by-play for the entire night and just commentary for the entire SummerSlam day, you can follow us, of course, on Twitter, starting with our main Scholars of Wrestling page at ScholarsOW for not just this episode, but all the latest wrestling and episode uploads. And of course, you can also follow our own personal Twitter accounts for ongoing live tweeting and commentary and all that fun stuff. Brian, where can they reach you?
You can find the reigning, defending, undisputed Scholars of Wrestling heavyweight champion at Atomic Beanpole.
Fool, where can they reach you?
You can reach me, the current Mr. Scholar in the Bank, at The Avataric.
And you can reach me, the once and future Scholars of Wrestling heavyweight champion, at I'm Robbie Rage. You know what's going to happen. You know you're going to love it. Follow us all, join in the conversation, and join in all the hype. It's SummerSlam weekend. You know what's going to happen. You know who we are. We are the Scholars of Wrestling, and you have just been schooled. You're welcome. See you all at SummerSlam, where I become the new belt.
You know what? Let's end this as Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns as possible. Us tugging for the new belt.